basically play the way that they played last night with the lack of effort. And, the coach said it after the game. The coach might find his way out of town, too, because if the players aren't playing for him, he might end up looking for a new job anyway. But that's for another day. I would just say that when I think about this game, I think about Tarasenko, Kreider, Zibanejad, all -3 or -4. And Kreider said it after the game, I can't be -4 in a Game 7. That's ridiculous. And he's right, he can't be. But, it wasn't his fault that Andre Palat and Michael McLeod ended up scoring the first goal because of the casual nature of one Adam Fox, who we all love, who we all think is a great player. We got all sorts of great players, and you either have it or you don't. And I pointed out a couple times in this series where Nico Hischier would go flying into Shesterkin, go flying in there, and he's a kid, and he's up and down the ice. He's a 200-foot player, and that kind of effort was seen last night again by him, and he's the captain of his team and that entire team. And when I think about some of the guys that they've added over the years, over the last couple of years, especially this Thomas Tatar, this Michael McLeod, Eric Haula, Andre Palat, John Marino, who played with Adam Fox up at Harvard. These are all grizzled veterans that came to play. And, the one thing I will say about the Devil organization, I think the players who play for the Devils, they know they're overshadowed by the Rangers. They know that. They know that the Rangers are the most popular hockey team in the tri-state area with the biggest and noisiest and probably, in their eyes, the most annoying fan base. And I would say, yes, we are. So they know that, and they know that they probably felt like the Rangers didn't give them the respect, or the fan bases didn't give, the fan base didn't give them respect. And I'm sitting here saying, it's going to go 7. It's going to go 7. And then we're going to find out who really wants it more in the Game 7. And it showed right out of the gate last night. Just showed just how fast the Devils were, how much more they wanted it. There was no screw the Ranger button. There are no excuses. The Devils just played harder. They wanted it more. I mean, and to give up a shorthanded goal to start the freaking game, to start the scoring off that way was just absolutely brutal, especially when your best players are on the ice. And then on top of that, their goalie outplayed our goalie. And our goalie was great, don't get me wrong. He's going to be terrific. It reminds me of Henrik Lundqvist when he was here. Making save after save after save, and then being let down. In a game like this, of this magnitude, for your star players not to show. I didn't even know if Artemi Panarin was even in uniform last night. I mean, it was hard to find him. I mean, so that, I could go on and on and on. It's one game. I knew it was going to be a damn 7-game series, and I knew it was going to be up and down. But the disappointment of not showing up in a Game 7 in their building against your cross-river rival is just inexcusable. So somebody's going to have to pay the price, whether it be the coach or some other players. Somebody's going to end up having to get moved or fired or whatever it is. And I don't want to go too crazy this morning because, I'm so still raw from this disappointing performance and a few Casamigos on top of it. So I will say that, Lindy Ruff deserves a lot of credit, man. He made the change in goals, stuck with his goaltender, made a couple adjustments on their penalty kill, and completely, flat out outworked the Rangers, especially in Game 7.
Yeah, and you talk about the coach who's going to be the guy that I think everybody is going to focus on because of what you said, not showing up in Game 7. You said the same thing after Game 5. The same exact thing, that this team and the effort wasn't there. And he said it himself after Game 4, then after Game 5, because that didn't work, the approach of him going after his team publicly and probably privately as well. And they come out in Game 5 and are worse, in my opinion, than they were in Game 4, and then come out in this game and get shut out. And it wasn't, early on, I didn't feel like there was an effort issue until the Palat play with Fox. And that point, I was like, oh, my goodness. Like, this team is it's swarming. The want it more thing that you've been talking about was evident there, and it felt like it just get worse and worse and worse. So I don't know how in the world of the NHL and the way that coaches get changed all the time and the expectations that were on this Rangers team after last year and after moves that were made, this year how he can survive. And I know that to me isn't a reactionary morning after a loss type of take. I mean, this is what happens in the NHL is these guys don't survive. I mean, we've seen it locally, we've seen it throughout the league, and this team was supposed to be a team that at least got back to where they were last year, and instead, they lose in 7 games to the New Jersey Devils, a team that came out of nowhere this year, and they get shut out in Game 7. So, I mean, the 4 losses that the last 3 losses that the Rangers had were miserable. The first one going into
shut out twice by rookie
just
goalie.
Absolutely miserable losses. So I don't know how he survives, and I don't know if that's going to be the right decision or not. I don't know. I just know that's probably going to be the decision.
The lasting image for me is going to be Adam Fox sitting on his ass in front of his empty net, and Jesper Bratt just lifting the puck right over him. It reminded me of when Brad Richards was sitting on his ass. I think it was 2014, and I was at that game right there, sitting behind Henrik Lundqvist, and there was this mad scramble in front of the Ranger net, and they lost that game. And I remember how disappointed we were after that game. There were changes after that game, and there'll be changes after this game. There always are changes, but Game 7, the lack of discipline. Again, 2-on-1s, odd man rushes. I'm like, what are you guys thinking about? And sometimes there's just a lack of judgment in games like this that end up, sticking with you, and you think about it and you just get so annoyed as a fan because you're so invested in them. And I'm sure they're annoyed at themselves too. I know that for a fact because, they're hockey players, and hockey players eat these things, and they hate it. And Chris Kreider stood up and said, look, I'm a -4 and it can't happen in a Game 7. He knows. He knows exactly how he played.
He said it was shameful is the word that he used.
He knows exactly how he played. He knows exactly how the fan base feels because this guy is Mr. Ranger. He really is. I mean, he scores more playoff goals than anybody else in Ranger history.
And he's had a great record in Game 7s prior to last night.
And by the way, he had 6 goals in this series, and he took it on himself. And as a former athlete, I do appreciate that. I appreciate the honesty, and I appreciate him standing up and saying what he needed to say. But it doesn't make you feel any better that your team looked like it was completely outworked. And, I would say that Hughes and Hischier, they weren't all over the score sheet like you think they would be. You know what I'm saying? But they were evident. You could see them. Like you never really saw Lafreniere. Kakko is completely MIA. So those going to be decisions right there with those 2 kids.
Yeah.
What's going to happen with their future around here as well. So look, I didn't get much sleep last night, so I'll take the slings and arrows from you guys. I don't care. That's part of it. But I already congratulated Jerry. I already said Barrel and Roost is on me.
Yeah.
So we've already settled our bet. So he deserves it. I know he loves his Devils. I don't know how invested he is.
What do you mean by that? He's been invested. Very invested.
I don't think he's as invested in it as I am. You know what I'm saying?
So wait, now you're trying to downplay his fandom on a day where the Rangers lose and the Devils win. You're trying to minimize Jerry's emotions.
I thought I was going to get more out of him this morning, but he just kind of walked in here and just matter of factly said, okay.
Well,
I don't know. Not that I would embarrass him. I would never embarrass him because I love the guy, but
he was trying to go low key as to
I don't know why
not be a sore winner.
No, he is taking the high road with you, I think, outwardly. But inwardly, there is a Recco Fiesta that is going on inside of him.
Oh, a Recco Fiesta.
Yes, there is.
Okay.
I'm telling you right now, there has to be. He loves every bit of this. He just doesn't. He just doesn't want to. He doesn't want to rub it in your face. But I bet you he feels amazing.
Yeah, but here's the thing. If he wants to rub it into somebody's face,
Marash.
Don't rub it into Marash's face.
Right.
Don't rub it in my face.
I will say
I'm the one who's sitting here saying it's going to be a 7-game series. I'm the one here that says that the Tatar, the Palat, the Myers, all these signings, all these guys added into.
You've been very respectful to the Devils fans.
The young Devils players, I mean, to get shut out by a rookie goalie, that's ridiculous.
Yeah.
I mean, that's insane. And not to be able to get shots, I mean, I don't know. I mean, our top 6 guys in the losses were completely outplayed. I mean, and it really comes down to one game. It comes down to one freaking game.
Game 3.
To me, yes. If we just get one puck bounce there, maybe the whole thing changes. But they fought their asses off in Game 3 to win that game, and that game basically switched the momentum. And I kind of felt like. Remember I was telling you Saturday night at Booming Fiesta?
Yeah.
that when I don't watch, they end up scoring 5 goals.
Of
and they
course.
end up winning.
Yeah.
They end up winning. They scored 5 goals.
Yep.
I almost did not watch last night, but I had.
There's no way you could.
I almost went to the club last night, just started clubbing, just not even paying attention. Because I just thought maybe that's how nuts you get when you're a fan. You know that.
Yeah, I know.
You have your superstitions.
I do have, but never is it not watching the game is not one of the superstitions.
I know. The big question is going to be why did this team not show up for Game 7? Why did this team's effort fail?
Soft.
That's going to be the question. That's the question that has to be answered.
Well, I think, first of all, the additions at the trade deadline in Patrick Kane being the biggest one, but Tarasenko ended up playing pretty well for you guys.
Listen, Mikola was also acquired, and he played a lot, well. And he played well.
But the Kane addition was a step back. I mean, he was supposed to add to the team. It was a step back. It ended up being sort of a problem for the Rangers. And I also think, too, that whatever was going on special with this team last year and the coach getting the most out of them was not there this year. It just wasn't. Everything he tried to do, even though he did make the adjustments into Game 6, it ended up working out. But your backs are up against the wall. You'd lost the previous 2 games of the Garden. They had to win that game. But that was not resonating, and I think that there was some injury. Would you be surprised you found out if Adam Fox had an injury after this, too? The way that he played, how great of a player this guy is, and how terrible he looked last night?
I would say that we're going to hear probably about 3 or 4 guys that were playing with injuries, because that's the NHL playoffs. That's who they all are. That's every single.
No excuses.
Right. Thank you. Every single team goes through the same thing.
Yeah.
They got shut out by a rookie goalie. Mm-hmm. They got shut out by, you just keep saying it twice.
Yep.
Twice. I mean, this guy came in and basically shut them down.
And the Devils played a hell of a lot better in front of him than they did with Vanacek as well.
Yes, there's no question about that. And I mean, there's a lot of little things to look at, and when we watch these hockey games, there are a million moments in these games that you try to remember, and you're saying to yourself, that's where it was. That's where it was. But in last night's game, the signature moment was Andre Palat, who is a Ranger killer, a former Tampa Bay Lightning, who knows how to play in these games, comes up with a huge turnover, makes a pass to a guy who very rarely ever scores in Michael McLeod, somehow shows the poise to hold on to the puck and just slip it right into a wide open puck because Igor was very aggressive coming out at him. And that was a great play. That's the signature moment that will be remembered from this series, if you ask me.
Yeah. I mean, and that really, scoring the first goal in these games is always very, very critical. And that being the opening goal and the first goal of this game and the effort play and how the 2 guys that were, Andre Palat was basically making look foolish were 2 of your best players.
I mean, we had 3 of our best players. We had Zibanejad, Fox, and Kreider on the ice all right there because, they're getting ready to go on a power play.
Yeah.
And Adam Fox casually, he has the puck, he has total control of it, and kind of casually just loses it along the boards. Even if normally he would probably have just flipped it out if it weren't a power play. He's probably thinking, okay, I'm going to get the power play set up. I'm going to hold on to the puck, that kind of thing. And Andre Palat, if you ask me, in the wins that the Devils had, that was the prime example of just a relentless forecheck that caused the turnover.
Well, this guy's a champion. He's a multiple Stanley Cup champion.
So Barclay Goodrow came off of that team too.
Sure.
And off of that line specifically with him.
Yeah. And then you saw it right there. I mean, you saw it on that play, and that obviously was your Foxwoods Resort Casino turning point of the game right there.
That's it. That's exactly it. It was, and will be remembered as the play that ended up dooming the Rangers' hopes. Now, the Devils finished higher than the Rangers. I think
they were favored into the series.
And they were favored in the series, and that's why I knew it was going to go 7. You just expect a much better effort, a much more cohesive effort by a team that won as far as it did last year. A lot of guys to like, especially when Trouba lays out Meyer, and Trouba, another great hit, probably came a little bit too late. He never really got a chance to do that, and he did it last night. And I thought maybe, just maybe, that might flip a little bit of the momentum, and it never did. Thanks so much for watching the video.
Please like and subscribe.
And don't forget to hit the bell so you're notified when we're dropping new content.